Peace world, peace world, peace world. How you doing? How you doing? Another episode of NYP Talk Show. We are here. We are live. We got a great show tonight. You know what I'm saying? For those who know this instrumental, leave a comment. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. Let us know where you at.
Bluetooth disconnected.
We got Crip Jesus with us here tonight. Peace to Crip Jesus, who's in here. And tonight's show is What is the Lost Tribe of Jesus?
What
The
is
brother
it?
got a dope presentation for y'all. Sit back, collect notes, leave your comments, ask questions, and review with an open mind. Peace, Crip Jesus. How you doing, my brother?
Peace, divine family, man, brother. I want to thank you so much for having me here. I know me and Ron been building. Me and you finally get to really delve in a little bit ourselves, and I'm glad, because I've been here quite a few times. Y'all could have just been like, man, we already talked about your book, but I'm glad y'all let me, because we talk off the screen, y'all recognize, okay, there's an element here that's being overshadowed by the whole gang thing, right? So exactly. I'm glad y'all let me come on here. The Blue Bible, of course, it deals with, gangs to a degree in the first few chapters. That's where I come from. It's not about my life, but it's for sure about what I teach. So what I teach came from the streets, but it's what I found in the streets that's the question. That's that's the topic here. Let's go to the back of the book. It says Crip Jesus, King L of the 5% Nation, reveals how his time in the trenches of America in the Moorish Science tip. So we have here of the 5% Nation. So this is someone of the 5% Nation who's saying the time he spent in the trenches of America, that's the ghettos, the slums, and the Moorish Science temple. So what I'm saying is we already have three sources for this information. So you can't say, oh, I know what you're talking about, the Jesus that the gods talk about, or the Jesus that the Moors talk about. No, I'm saying in all three of these locations, whether I was in the streets with the homies and hearing what they thought about Jesus, the ones that had not been exposed to the Moors of the 5%, going around the 5%, who they thought Jesus was, or they thought it didn't exist, or they thought, why in Power Degrees and say, why did we take Jerusalem from the devil? How long ago? Because one of our brothers who by the name of Jesus was a prophet was buried there. He uses his name to shield his dirty religion called Christianity. Jesus' teaching was not Christianity, it was freedom, justice, and equality. Jerusalem is a name given by the Jews, which means founded in peace. It was originally built by the original man with Salem, Ariel, Jebus. We took the city from the devil about 750 years ago. See, I can quote that. So I know the 5% perspective. Well, a lot of guys come up here and say, we don't even believe in Jesus. No, quote. Don't just tell me what you think you believe in. Quote. Right? So I go into, when I get the quoting out the Moors, there's a lesson here. The gods told me that we took Jerusalem for the devil because of this dude they call Jesus. And it says 750 years ago. If I add that up from 1930, when they gave us that degree, it goes back to 1183, 1184. That's the Moors invading Jerusalem, Holy Crusades. That's the 5% God by the NOI perspective. It don't matter if they make 20 videos saying, that ain't what we don't believe in Jesus. This is what y'all lessons teach. It was a lesson here that you skipping, right?
Definitely.
I break that down. Right? When you go into the circle 7, it's funny how dudes would be like, Jesus, we don't, the Moors, we don't believe in Jesus. That's crap. The circle 7 gives you the lost missing years of Jesus from the age 12 to 30, the lost 18 years.
Exactly.
Right? Why would it give you that if it's not? That's what the whole book is based on, right? So the point is, we're under a religious Willie Lynch. A religious Willie Lynch. So we have, from just the character of Jesus alone, we have the Christians, we have the Hebrew Israelites who call him Joshua and say, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. We got the Muslims who call him Isa and say, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. We got the brothers who say, I don't deal with that at all. That's completely false. The whole book is false. Lie. It's all fake. They don't know what they're talking about. Because even if they say it's all fake, just because you've come to the conclusion that I don't believe in this character, what about all the wars in history that come from this topic? These groups right here. You're just going to skip and throw that all out and not understand what went down? Nah. There's a war right here, and the war is about Jesus. A lot of us don't understand that, but if you look at the beginning of the whole Islam-Christianity conflict, it was over Jerusalem. It was over the history of Jesus, the story of Jesus, whether he's God or not, right?
Yeah.
Why so much emphasis placed on him? Why so much emphasis placed on him, his family, his bloodline, who he is. Why so much emphasis on the Jews claiming to be related to him and claiming he didn't exist? Why so much emphasis? Why isn't Buddha the center of all these arguments? Why is it Muhammad? He had more effect, right? So many wars and so much. Why not Muhammad? Peace and blessings upon him. Right? Why this character? So this is what I'm saying. I found through the studies in the 5% Nation, through my studies with the Moors, and myself in the trenches. And in the trenches, there's a little book called the Quran. Yeah, y'all. In the trenches, you go to the projects where Lil Durk and them from, when you come to the South Central, the hood where I'm from, whether y'all believe it or not, we always looked at those homies as like the homies. Like the homie that gets out the pen that knows the Quran.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the big homie. And he knows stuff about Jesus that y'all know. Did y'all know they didn't even really kill Jesus? Huh? It says right here in the Quran, they ain't even hang Jesus. Y'all think that? Yeah, they was the ones that hit us with that in the trenches. So at the time I spent in the trenches with homies that knew the Quran, that would break that down, and we go to different locations and talk to different Muslims and all that. Time I spent with the guys and time I spent with the Moors, I found a pattern. I didn't come here to divide further. I found a pattern. I found a story about Jesus that was not being told. And it wasn't, I can't just give it to the Moorish Science Temple. They led me to look at the missing 18 years and where he come from. But then the guys made me look at the wars in the Holy Crusades, and what does that have to do with Jesus, right? How that was about the destruction of the Holy Sepulchre. And guess who destroyed the Holy Sepulchre? The Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Cool. Okay.
Now we've been taught to be victims. The Holy Crusades was just the Pope waking up one day saying, "Kill them Moors, get them up out of here." Nah, it's not what happened. We ran. That's why I say we took it back from the devil. We can't think about it, guys. You can't take something back unless it was yours at first. And you either rented it to them or they got it. You know what I'm saying? So take it. He said take it back from the devil. So what happened was, go to the Blue Bible, right? So page 43 in the Blue Bible. The people of Adam, us being the people of Allah, I think we all agree on that, right? Whether you in the trenches, even the dudes who in the trenches who love Jesus, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we the child of God." You know, we was first.
The original beings.
Right, whether it be the 5%, the Moors, or in the trenches, we've all agreed we the children of God. But what does that entail historically? That's why you need your Blue Bible. What's the gap there? So the people of Adam, because that's not us, right? We're the people of Allah. So the people of Adam, those who were kicked out of the garden, those who accept their teachings, Moorish perspective, right? God by perspective. If you accept that teaching, and you lay down with those people and you take on that mind frame. So the people of Adam use the term Sharif to pose as descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and enforce their laws on us. Yeah, because our lands were Islamic at this time. At the time when the Moors were ruling Europe and Africa and parts of America, they were under an Islamic law system. And in that law system, those that are direct descendants of the Prophet, peace be upon them, are the Sharif. They're the ones who give the law. They're not just anybody. You got to be from that family of the lawgivers, right?
Yep.
Most people are going to say, no, they're going to show us pictures of Turks. But I tell them, look at the dates on there. 1300, 1200, 1100. That's after the Crusades. All that fancy stories of the first Muslims that smashed the Italians and smashed on Rome and smashed and took Egypt back from Rome. That was us. The Turks came way later, 13, 12, 14. So in the English tongue, the term Sharif became Sheriff. They inherit this title via integration. So as they integrated with us, those that were captured and brought into slavery amongst us, those who were just converted, those who, through war, they took on the title of Sharif. But we're the Sharif. Think of ghetto names, Tyrone, Jamal, Sharif, right? Yeah, bro. Come on. Because these are, we was taught that they were Swahili names. These are Moorish names. Right?
Yeah.
They also use, but hold on, we always stick to just the Islam and the Moors. Let's get to Christianity. That's why my book deals with both sides. So they also use the story of Jesus to pose as his followers. The true followers of Jesus were known as Coptics. They were Egyptians. And by way of King Ezana, the Ethiopians joined them circa 330 AD. The Roman Emperor Constantine and the Roman Empire were not followers of Jesus. They hated Jesus, his followers, and all of their teachings. Emperor Julian banned them Eventually, Constantine created Christianity to replace them.
That's a fact.
So Christianity, well, see, a lot of dudes get too picked up on the Jews. The Christianity is not the problem. The problem is the Christianity that they created to replace our teachings.
The original teachings, yeah.
Followers of that prophet. You have followers of Prophet Muhammad, you have followers of Prophet Isa, right? So Jesus' followers, this is where I go with it, were resurrecting the state of Mecca. Afrocentrists call it Kemet. They had that T on it. It was really Kemet, you know, alchemy.
Yeah, alchemy, yeah.
Kemet, Ka and Met, right? Afrocentrists call it Kemet because the devils taught them to read from left to right as Ka-Me. However, God's people read from right to left. We call the Holy Lands Me-Ka. Take that same Ka-Me and go from right to left. Me-Ka. Mecca. Oh, yeah. It hit you guys. Rome took Kemet. They call it Kemet, Kemi. Rome took that. We took it back, Mecca. We was resurrecting the state of Mecca. Maka. Right? Ka-Me, Me-Ka. Right?
Yeah.
Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, and his followers, the Mohammedans, were successful resurrecting the state of Mecca. Hence, they gave the native people back their status as lords with one common language, Arabic. In Europe, this era is called the Dark Ages. The economies and the tongues of the African people dominated the planet from the Philippines all the way to the West Indies. Therefore, Arab culture in this history expression is African. The Arab culture, as it grew after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, grew from Africa. They took back Egypt first. That's when they started dressing like that. Their first castles in North Africa. Their first taking back Europe. No, that's all African. And I'm saying this for the Moors and the Moorish Science people too, who always want to down Africa. No, that's not what the. So now let's go into what Prophet Noble Ali himself said. This is Jesus' revenge. So people talk about a black Jesus, a brown Jesus, and what they changed, God, just the color.
Just the color.
That's it. They'll go to the same Bible, quote the same story, and they'll be like, and they'll tell you these are devils. They changed the story, but they'll quote the story. How about you submit and say, I know the story's wrong, but I would like to know what the truth is. Say that first. Let's do some lives where we all go look in the Quran, see what it says about Jesus, because that's where I found this information. But before I go to the Quran, let's go to Circle 7 Quran. Now, we started off the show with me quoting Power Degree out to 120. So that covered Nation of Islam and 5% perspective of Jesus. Right?
Yep.
Right? They teach to look at the Holy Crusades and look at us taking Jerusalem. Wow. Why is that so important? Let's go to the Blue Bible. So I just broke
Don't forget, people, you could get the copy of the Blue Bible from Crip Jesus himself later on towards the end of the show. If you could drop that information for the people to pick up the book, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Number in the chat if y'all want to just hit direct, because we do believe in direct communication. We should not let these computers tear us further apart. You know what I'm saying? That's
a fact. Yeah, you can throw that in the chat, God.
So look, in Jerusalem, they just blocked me, but I'll figure it out. Page 47 says, in Jerusalem, the knights, talking about the Knights Templar, became drunk with power. To challenge the Moors, they taught that the pentagram was the symbol of the devil, that 5-point star. That's why so you see the Moors flag, like, is that the devil? The church puts that. They taught us that the prophet Jesus was a deity. That's why as soon as you bring up his name, people start arguing about religion. Instead of just talking about him. And that his body belonged to the church. That's what the fight was about. Remember, that's coming from the 5% perspective. What does it break it down? In response, General Saladin was sent to squash the rebellion and take Jerusalem back. That's a fact. His mission was complete with the signing of the Treaty of Jaffa. He was sent by the Fatimid. What's the Fatimid? So the Fatimid, going back, is right here on page 43. It says, Idris I of Morocco was Sharif of the direct bloodline of the Prophet. The Sharif are legally both Hassanid and Fatimid. The Hassanid Caliphates ruled Northwest Africa, while the Fatimid Caliphates ruled Northeast Africa. Why is that important? So I just gave you the bloodlines. The whole North Africa, from Egypt to Morocco, was not only being ruled by Islam, but by people who were direct descendants of the Prophet, who set up castles and empires all throughout. These were not light-skinned Arab slave traders who came later and were mixed more in with the Turks. And you get what I'm saying? We got to put this stuff in. So when Saladin was sent to take Jerusalem back from these knights, who sent them? The Fatimid, right? Okay. What does that even mean? So let's go back to page 47. 200 years before Saladin, the Lord Abu Mansur al-Hakim bi Amir Allah ordered the infamous destruction of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That's supposed to be where Jesus' body was at. Now you see why that degree is over Jesus' body? But a lot of people broke that degree down. What it was, one of our leaders in Egypt, a Moorish leader, destroyed the Holy Sepulchre. Said, man, Jesus' body ain't up in there. You think we stupid? Y'all doing too much. Squash that out. Squash them. Then they came back. But they don't mention that when they talk about the wars. They want you to think that the Pope just woke up and smashed us. Right? In 1017, check this out. And I just said who destroyed the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? Lord Abu Mansur al-Hakim bi Amir Allah. Why is he so important? Because in 1017, he was deemed Allah in the flesh.
Oh, wow.
By Imam ad-Darazi. I gave you the name, the year, all that. But what will the 5% probably tell you? We're the first ones to ever teach Allah is in the flesh is the black man. No! The blue Bible, the true Bible. Everything we talking about right now, all these esoteric teachings, they's already there, bro.
Of course. Of course.
And if we stop making them so esoteric and take them more seriously, we'll see that. We'll see there's other groups out there, even throughout the world, who's pushing the same thing as us, waiting for us to connect with them. So at the same time, he was the Lord of the throne of Egypt, which made him the Lord of the lords of the lands. In the eyes of the Fatimid, Jerusalem belonged to Egypt. Right? Al-Hakim was culturally Ishmaeli and the father of the Druze religion that still exists today. So there's actually a group of followers who believe this dude was Allah in the flesh and all that. Way back in 1017, there's still a religion following right now. It follows under the umbrella of Islam, just like we got Jehovah's Witness and all fall under the umbrella of Christianity. Yeah, so we gotta look at these umbrellas. That's what I wasn't scared to do. I went crazy. I went on both sides, got ridiculed, got talking about, you know what I mean, to get this information and bring it back. So now let's go into. So it says Jesus reincarnated per the MSTA 101. Yeah, but Jesus reincarnated. Let's go back to the first Jesus though. So what is it first? And Noble Drew Ali is breaking down this story and what the significance to us is. What does he say, right? Let's go into that. So it says right here, during Jesus' time, the Romans and their governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate, ruled the country with an iron fist and were responsible for appointing Caiaphas to his post. All accounts make it clear that it was Romans who cruelly killed Jesus, whipping and torturing him, ripping and tearing his flesh, putting a crown of thorns on his head, spitting on him, nailing him to the cross, crucifying him, even running through him with a spear. So we understand that now, y'all.
Yep.
And where we at? We at NYP Talk Show. So that's not one we got to really drill in everybody. I think everybody agrees.
Everybody should know that.
Yeah, the Romans took Jesus' story, twisted it. They're the ones who really attacked him. It's all backwards. We got that. But here's what we have to understand. So if we're saying they twisted the story, what's the story? If we're saying he ain't white, he ain't the Israel, what is he then?
Exactly. Let's get into the lineage.
And here's the other thing. I'm not saying it like, oh, I'm so smart, I figured it out. It's a timeline, meaning that it took one teacher to come even break us out the spell of Jesus. It took another teacher to come and reveal to us, hey, Jesus was a prophet. We're not against him, right? It took another teacher to say, hey, you know what? Hebrew Israelites and the black and this and that and other. But now it's going to take a teacher to come and say, well, now that we figured out all these books are mixed up, what's the true story of this man?
That's a fact.
So this is in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. This would be chapter 46, the beginning of Christianity. Would you say that's fair? I'm not in here saying, I know some Moors. We're going to know some. No, I'm quoting directly from, you see he got his hand over his chest. This is Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teaching, okay?
Yep.
So this is not me saying, gee, you know how dudes be, bro, just all over the place.
Yeah.
This is me reading this and going directly. Historical, factual, material, tangible. Why is that important? Because I feel like a lot of our people who are in these Black conscious communities, they love the intangible information. They love the
mystery, the mystifying.
Yeah, and they love to skip the fact that I can't speak for every teacher, but Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Wallace Farr Muhammad, they both left historical facts that are left out the mainstream books. A lot of people did. These two specifically, they left information that you can go and look up and say, damn, why they don't talk about this? Right? Still to this day. They still rarely talk about Muhammad II of the Turks. They still rarely talk about, you get what I'm saying? A lot of these things that Noble Drew Ali brought to the table, the Canaanites, you know what I mean? We still don't hear them talk much about, Yaqub, the NOI. Wallace Farr really brought that. Now, over the years, we found so much back in that, right? You get what I'm saying? So these are things that.
Let me interject for a second, Jesus. You know what it is? Also, our people, right? Whether in the continental Africans, diaspora, or here in the U.S., many of them are stuck on the Jesus fable.
Yeah.
You understand the programming, the indoctrination. Has been it's so powerful that's what they believe that's divine. So while what you're doing, a few people that are zealots, hardcore religious from either side, will refute this information. But if you're giving them dates and timelines, mathematics don't lie.
Come on. So the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. Seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad I came up on the scene and fulfilled the works of Jesus of Nazareth. So here's the sad part. Many Moors have read that, and many Moors in their religious stupor read that and said, okay, so they're saying Europe had peace until Muhammad, the prophet. It didn't say Muhammad the prophet. It said right there until Muhammad I came up on the scene. Muhammad the prophet and Muhammad I, two different people.
Two different things, yep.
See, this goes back to that softness I be talking about. A lot of dudes get religious and put their skirts on. I hate to talk like that, but it's true. So they're not even looking to a Muhammad I, a king warrior in Africa.
Yeah.
Even though it just said right there, verse 2, Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. So shouldn't we look at the land of the Canaanites, Moabites, and inhabitants of Africa?
That's a fact, yeah.
The Middle East and the North African Sahara Desert area. And after these wars with Rome cracked off, they were basically in North Africa. So remember, I just said they were resurrecting the state of Mecca, right? By taking back Kameh and making it Mecca again, right?
That's a fact.
So they took back Egypt from Rome in the 600s, right after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. And after that, a man named Muhammad I came up on the scene out of Africa and smashed Europe. I'm talking about Rome, Italy, the Vatican, all of that. Muhammad I was the son of the dynasty's fourth emir. Which dynasty? The Aghlabite dynasty. That's right. When you're fucking with this blue Bible, you're going to get this shit. Real gangster shit.
Now I'm like, yo, this is deep.
Ain't no more. They said and them said, you're going to get the real names and bloodlines. Now you're going to know the name of the nigga with the sword that caught the body. Can't run from this gangster shit. All right? Remember that scary religious shit over there? Y'all want to know the real deal? Holla at us, Blue Bible, tap in. Muhammad I was the son of the dynasty's fourth emir, Abu Ikal. Turned out to be a great commander and economic strategist. His uncle was named Zayadat Allah I of Ifriqiya. Allah I? We had other niggas calling themselves Allah? But y'all want to read this. Y'all want to read about Muhammad and the Turks and all this corny shit. Tap in with the Blue Bible, the True Bible. Learn about yourself. His rival, Asad ibn al-Farad. Under his reign, the Aghlabids continued their expansion into the Mediterranean, conquering Messina, Taranto, large parts of Apulia, and supporting the Emir Khalfun with the establishment of the Islamic Bari. Muhammad I ibn al-Ghlab led the first Muslim invasion of the Caput Mundi in 846. Guess what that is, guy? The Caput Mundi, Caput is capital. Mundi means world. It's Latin. The capital of the world. The capital of Rome. All these other niggas talk about fighting Rome and not even in Rome. The Turks didn't fight Rome in Rome. They conquered Rome in Turkey. Get the fuck out of here. We conquered Rome. Us. I'm getting a little excited, but yeah, I mean that. Y'all be talking that black Jesus. Y'all don't know no black Jesus. The real gangster riders that really defended and rode on that Jesus shit and was smashing Rome and the Catholics about it, I got their names. I got the documentation. And y'all should be ashamed of yourself. The Blue Bible been around this long, and y'all ain't ordered 10 copies a piece and pass around to all your uncles, nieces, and aunties. This the truth. This the truth. Fuck that night. This the truth. We smashed them for 1,000 years, and niggas scared to talk about it or something. So Muhammad the First, that Prophet Noble Drali is talking about, is the Muhammad the First that ran in and actually smashed the actual capital of Rome, the Caput Mundi, head of the world. The nicknames given to Rome, the actual Rome city, not the Roman Empire that conquers all the other places. Rome itself had not the Vatican. You notice everybody goes Vatican, Pope. They don't even come to the 800s. Step your game up. The capital of Rome was called the Caput Mundi. And we smashed that way back in 800. Them brainwasher dudes that want your money every week can't let you know that. They want you to be. I hate to be this mean, but I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, speak your mind. Go ahead.
Like, leaders are in on this shit. Because I don't think a Crip from prison just looked all this shit up and figured it out. Nah. They know this, but they keep this from us too to keep us docile and weak. And the dudes that like to argue in the comments are the same way. They don't want to see me and you connect and really load these choppers up and say, oh, okay, your kid's Sunni. I ain't tripping. Have them kick my kid. There's more. We know the same enemy. They scared of that. Let's keep them arguing. Let's keep them talking about weak shit. And let's not never let them know they ever smashed anything. Let's let them think that ever since Jesus got put on the cross, them niggas ain't been shit.
That's a fact. Yeah, that's what I was telling you earlier, man. I was like looking up some old lectures of Bobby Hemmett, and he said that the Christ that they give in the world is a docile Christ. And I always knew from the Bible growing up that the Jesus that they spoke about was no weakling. It was a revolutionist.
Come on. So
you understand what I'm saying? Luke 19, verse 27, man, will tell you it all. Those who don't believe me slay him before. But anyway, go ahead.
Although it is not known for sure when it was first used, Rome was already named this way by the poet Ovid in the 1st century before Christ. Before, not after. So before Jesus even came around, they was calling it Caput Mundi, the eternal city, the city of the 7 hills. This is the beginning of the Roman Empire growing. We smashed that. They don't want you to know that. That's why they had to sit there around the Vatican. That's why they had to make a new capital way out in Turkey. We were smashing them. Who, us? No, that's the light-skinned Arabs up there. You brainwash. That's why the new conscious niggas want you to only look at one area. We ain't worried about them. Look at the Indians, bro. You can't see that the light-skinned French Montana Arab is the same thing as the so-called Native American. You're not seeing that. Muhammad II. I ain't talking about Muhammad II of Turkey that they say Jesus reincarnated to. No, I'm talking about Muhammad I that smashed the Romans. He had a follower. He was smashing them too. So we kept smashing them. This is when we took over Italy and all that. Right? He was the 8th emir. He succeeded his uncle, Ziyadat Allah II. Check that out. We got another Ziyadat Allah.
The second Allah, yeah.
Allah. So we had Ziyadat Allah the first. Check this out. Allah and Muhammad. This sound like Wallace Fard. This sound like blasphemy. Look, the Arabs will tell you that's blasphemy, and we never did that. And these black nigga bootlickers will tell you the same thing. That's blasphemy. Let me go talk to my Arab friend. These dudes are over here calling themselves Muhammad and Allah. Can you believe this?
Of course.
Shut up.
Of course.
That's our tradition. That's what we do. Food for because these dudes call themselves Allah and Muhammad before the guy I just said was deemed Allah in the flesh. What year was that? 1017. So as you see here, it was a build-up. Can you imagine this, Ron? Mike, can you imagine this? So imagine this real quick. In the 800s, we smashing Europe. We walking in there with names like I'm Muhammad the First. I'm Ziyadat Allah the Second. Right? Smashing. And by the time you get to 1017, 200 years, you got a dude calling himself Allah in the flesh, just destroyed the Holy Sepulchre. Of course they had to come with the Holy Crusades. It wasn't because of them. We was putting pressure on their ass.
Of course.
They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that though, Mikey. But they talk about my book is a problem. My book is, it probably is blasphemous to the skirt wearer, religious zealots. But us that's ready to really get out here in the field, this is exactly what we missing. We trying to figure out why all these stories don't make sense to us. Why it's just this story of a dude getting hung. Because racism exists in both religions.
That's a fact, man.
Even the Muslims made the story less about this war. You get what I'm saying? This whole war, what I'm trying to explain is there was a war that went on for 200-300 years after they took back Egypt about Jesus and them going smashing Rome and all of that. All of that is skipped now to just the Arabs being cool with the Catholics and enslaving us, and in the 1213, they go straight to that. But why is this coin up here where it says racism exists both? Because that's the coin of Zayed Allah and Muhammad the First in them. That's the Aghlabid coins. So it's different with smashing them. Yeah, we had our own money, fool.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a lot of context to put into this.
I know you wasn't ready. You didn't think I was bringing this. I found the tribe of Jesus. I found it, and I feel like they ain't giving me my fair share. I came with a chip on my shoulder today. I did. I feel like, bro, I'm talking some shit with this blue Bible. Is how they gonna get at me? Like it's a gangbanging book?
No, what I want to tell the listeners and viewers that, take this information in, right? And I haven't even read the book, but from what you presenting is take the information in, do your history, your own research, and you see that it's just connecting the dots to everything. Like, oh shoot, like it's flowing. Like, oh wow,
yeah. So
I see what you're taking it, man.
Bam. So we still in the circle 7, right?
Yep.
I'm leaving. So look, I just walked it down. We went to the 5%, Moorish perspective. Now we're gonna get to my street, right? I'm keeping it order. So before I move forward to the blue Bible, let's go back to the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Mm-hmm. So before you even get to chapter 1, it says, "Know thyself and thy Father God Allah." It says, I quote from Prophet Noble Drew Ali's himself, "The genealogy of Jesus with 18 years of the events, life works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons are for all those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life works and teachings." So it just said India, Europe, and Africa. Do you think they talk about over here? I mean, can we sell this for once and for all? Like, for those that like to say I'm a Moor, but I don't go to the temple and I got my own thing going, it says right here in the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, that they're talking about the 18 years of events, life works, and teachings of Jesus. That's secret in India, Europe, and Africa. They're talking about over there. Okay, they're saying he spent time in Europe, Egypt, India, Europe, and Africa, and this is excluded from the Bible. The 18 years missing, right? Yep. Okay. It also says that these lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known, this is the most important thing, because like, man, where y'all get this shit from? Okay. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine. So remember, it said 3 continents, right? So Palestine will be the part he was at where he visited. Remember when he's 30, he goes back to Palestine to teach.
Yep.
People, it makes sense now. That's why that's the part that Europe always talks about. They not lying. They saying this is our part that we got. When he came to teach us in Palestine, is that message he gave there that went up into Europe, but he also went to teach during that 18-year gap in India and in Africa. But why was it so important? Because it said the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine. So why is that so important? So it's saying the part of Africa he was in teaching is Egypt. They're talking about over there, not over here. Okay? So had these secrets been and kept them back from the outside world, when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the key. So he's saying Muslims in India, Egypt, and Palestine have Sufi societies that have this information. They ready to release this. Okay. You go to chapter 2, education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zoan. So they're saying when Jesus' mom was ran out of Jerusalem and fled, they went to Egypt. Where though? The Bible doesn't tell you where. It stops right there. So in this, it says they went to a place called Zoan. Okay, and while there, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, were both educated. Their wombs and their body were taken care of a certain way to give birth to guys. It's not something just, go to Egypt, fall out the sky. No. If you want our sons and daughters to, this requires discipline and work and teaching and development. All that's in this Holy Quran, Moorish Science of America. So why did they go to Zoan? Why did the people in Zoan say they was already waiting for Mary and Elizabeth? They already knew who they was. They already had the teachings for them. Because it's saying their ancestors, they don't run to another place in Jerusalem. They run to Egypt. I told you the first followers of Jesus after he died that was fighting the Romans were the Egyptians. They called Coptics. That's all through the Blue Bible. Matter of fact, let's go back to the Blue Bible since I keep bringing that up. The first page, the Blue Bible actually has an index. So it's not just a book where you just got to read. You know what I mean? You can go back and study. So Jesus, we go to J right here, go under Jesus. First place, page 3. So on page 3, it says, I was given the name Crip Jesus in Detroit, Michigan. The first name Crip represents my life in Los Angeles as a member of a gang created by Raymond Washington in 1969. The last name Jesus represents my bloodline as a descendant of the lost tribe of Jesus, Beni Imran, known as Amarna, the 18th dynasty of Egypt. We are divine. We are gods. I'm not talking about Jerusalem, Israel, Muslim, Christian. I'm saying that for me, the reason that Jesus is put as the last name, like Johnson or Williams or Henry, or right? Well, Henry's the first name, but you get what I'm saying. Say Washington, descent, inheritance. I'm saying the Jesus inheritance that's being suppressed is this bloodline that it was revealed in the Quran. That goes back to ancient Egypt, the 18th dynasty. Not just ancient Egypt, the specific dynasty. Why is that so important? Because there was different bloodlines that ruled in Egypt. And this bloodline was the one that believed in one God and actually went to war with the other ones, the other races that was there invading and all of that behind this belief. And actually ended up going down further south into Ethiopia, Eritrea, all these lands. They actually ended up creating what would be Islam and Christianity. Their names and their stories are used to create the stories of Islam and Christianity and Judaism and other religions. So they're the source. This source is the tribe that's mentioned in the Bible, mentioned in the Quran, mentioned in the circle. It's mentioned even in the 5% teachings when they're saying that that's our brother. Now, how's that our brother? Who believed in the one God? Who went to war with the world over this thing we call monotheism? Where's, you know what I'm saying? Where does it start? The biggest mystery revealed in the Quran is the tribe of Jesus. Right now, this is now. Let me go. So another. Let me. We in the Blue Bible now. So let's go to page 43. We already read that page about Constantine. So this would be page 69. Now, in page 69, it says Jesus was born during the rule of Cleopatra. One of their common enemies was King Herod. So in the story of Jesus, talks about King Herod chasing them out of Jerusalem. That's important because King Herod was an enemy of Cleopatra as well. That gives you what was going on here. They were into it with the native people of Egypt, or Kemet, I should say. They named it Egypt, right? One of their common enemies was King Herod, who Rome had hired to rule over Judea as the king of the Jews. To establish his authority, he married the Maccabees matriarch Miriam because she was the true heir of the Holy Lands. His jealousy of her family heritage eventually drove him to murder her and his own sons with her. So, yeah, that was his wife named Mary. So Mary was a popular name amongst his tribe in Maccabees anyway. So was Isa. He murdered his own sons by her. So this story is true even if it ain't true. Even if we made a movie right now called Tyrone, and in the movie a dude is toting guns and living in the projects and gets sent to prison, we might have made that character up, but that story's true. There's a bunch of dudes here named Tyrone that's living that reality. See what I'm saying? This story is about a specific guy. It's about a tribe. It's about something that went on. Herod initiated a birth control campaign, ordering the death of all sons. His program included abortions, and it was known as the Massacre of the Innocents. He feared the birth of a savior would free the people of Judea. Following the death of Queen Miriam, Rome took over the Mediterranean Sea. There was no resistance until the Palmyrene Empire's Empress Zenobia. She was direct descendant of the family of Cleopatra the First. Now, this name, Mary, and its variations, Miriam and Miriamne, was popular amongst the tribe of the Maccabees, who controlled the Hasmonean Empire. Their book, the Book of Maccabees, was borrowed from the Bible. But that name, Mary, they inherited that name from Egypt's Mary, high priest of Amun. That's the 18th dynasty. So even these names, Moses, Jesus, Mary, they all come from this tribe. Right? Now, let's go back to the index. Blue Bible. This is just the word Jesus. So many words in this index. It's just the word Jesus. It says go to page 71 now. Page 71 says right here what we're reading here. The biggest mystery revealed in the Quran is the tribe of Jesus. I'm not talking about the Circle 7 Quran no more. I'm not talking about the Moorish Science Temple no more. I'm not talking about
the Quran.
I'm talking about Quran.
Got you.
The Juma on Friday. I prove to you that they even suppressed this information. This is in the Quran. According to the Surah 66, Ayat 12, right? Isa, Jesus' mother, is named Maryam bint Imran. The name Imran is the title of the third surah. It's a whole surah in the Quran named after this tribe. Surah Ali Imran, which is the Beni Imran tribe. Their physical location is today named Tel El Amarna. This is a real city. So when we spend all this money flying to Paris and to visit the pyramids and all that, we should be visiting this city because it's been empty the whole time. Yes, this city has been empty for thousands of years. Our ancestors left it right there. Not the whole Egypt. I found it, y'all. Don't be mad at me, y'all. Get your copy of the book.
No, definitely.
The name, the Tel El Amarna. The city was built by Pharaoh Akhenaten. In the Bible, the name is spelled Amram. In the book of Exodus 6:20.
Yo,
is listed as the father of Moses.
The blowing of the ramp, yo, bro. It's making. This is crazy, man.
Now, it's listed as the father of Moses, right? Who's Moses, though? We always so caught up in Moses being this character, but Moses is a name. Thutmoses, Ahmoses, Ramoses, who we call Ramses. This is one of the most popular last names. It was a last name, Moses, Musa, in that Amarna dynasty. Just like Mary was a popular name in that Amarna dynasty, right? They've took these names and turned them into stories and myths that make us not even understand ourselves. The Moles. Imran is the native tribe of Egypt called Amarna in Latin. Amarna is the modern Arabic name for the site of the ancient Egyptian city of Akhenaten, capital of the country under the reign of Akhenaten. The site is officially known as Tel El Amarna, so named for the Beni Imran tribe who were living in the area when it was discovered. This is how you know this was meant to be. The only reason we even had them statues of them looking so clear like that is because the Arabs would have stole all that. The Egyptians that they went to war with, our own ancestors, hid them from history. They buried them somewhere separate than where the official kings and queens get buried because of their belief in one God. So now, thousands of years later, we dug them up and found them and found out these were the ones that the stories is hiding. Them trying to hide them is what made them be discovered. The name Amarna comes from the Beni Imran tribe that lived in the region and founded a few settlements. The ancient Egyptian name was Akhenaten. So this city was called Akhenaten, Nefertiti, King Tut. Is there a reason even the most ignorant amongst us get those tattoos of Nefertiti and King Tut, wear that jewelry? We know in our DNA who these people are. The site is on the east bank of the Nile River in what today is the Egyptian province of Minya. This is where we should be revisiting, y'all. It's about 58 kilometers south of the city of Al-Minya, 312 kilometers south of the Egyptian city of Cairo, north of Luxor. Right in the middle of all of the best cities we heard about. What did it look like before the Roman period? Tel El Amarna is the city the tribe left empty 2,000 years ago.
Wow.
It's still there like this, right? We wear the jewelry. What I'm trying to say is Akhenaten is the one who built this city. It was named after him. His wife is Nefertiti. We still wear that jewelry. His son was Tut. Why are we not visiting the day city? It's like we hidden from you. We wear the jewelry, we get the tattoos, but we still go out there and lost. So I'm just looking at the random pyramid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's why that's marketed to you.
That's why I don't do the movement. I'm not here to start a new movement. I'm here to tell everybody in all these movements it's time to start studying again, y'all. Get your copy of the Blue Bible. You're not going to just get there because Top Cat said we should meet up over here and follow him over here. Sonetta said we should meet up. Nah. You feel what I'm saying? So there was a man, Haram Heb.
Peace to Sonetta.
He destroyed that city. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, tell me this ain't the tribe. Fuck with all these words I'm talking about. Let's just take a second to look at these niggas. Of all the different groups of Egyptians, this don't look like the ones that look like us here in America specifically. Don't get it twisted. It's the whole book here. So I break down how we ended up over here, the different tribes, different bloodlines. But I'm just saying, let's just look for a second. I'm saying Amram, Beni Amran. The people who built this city, of this tribe, of this dynasty, with these names like Moses and Musa and all that, and Mary and all that. Look at them.
Yeah, I see the phenotypes, the resemblance.
You notice that we don't have the super wide nose like the West. We have, some of us do, but you get what I'm trying to say? We have a specific look. Mississippian, exactly. That's who these are. The Amran, Amarna. Come on, that's the sandals. Now, is them Jesus sandals? No, but those are some sandals from the Amarna dynasty.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Those would be Jesus sandals. Jesus would get some sandals of his ancestors, because Jesus was born 2,000 years after, or about 1,500 years after Akhenaten and King Tut and all of that. So this would be in Jesus' ancestors' sandals. Like, here goes the ancient sandals of your grandfather, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have went to Egypt and went to this city, and they would have gave it Zoan. They would have had artifacts from here for him. Look.
Yeah, I see it.
Come on, man.
I see it. You know,
the Amarna letters. They're supposed to be a group of letters they found written in stone. These are the only letters they found with documentation of Israelites. Yes, you know, they always, you know, the people that argue against the Bible say there's no documentation of them ever existing. The only documentation of there's a group of people over here off the coast of the Mediterranean, you know, stirring up trouble. The word Israel I use is in the Amarna letters. It says the Amarna letters are of great significance for biblical studies as well as Semitic linguistics, because they shed light on the culture and language of the Canaanite people in this time period. You thought the Canaanite people didn't exist no more. You thought that was some ancient shit before the flood. See what I'm talking about?
That's deep, bro.
You can't find those stone writings of the ancient Jewish people.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's what I always question. You will never find these artifacts from people from the past, but you will see our people, our presence there.
Because it's really these people. It was the Amarna dynasty and their descendants. That's what all of this is about. This is why we keep getting confused. We don't know if it's the Muslim, the Egyptian, the Jew, the Christian. Well, guess what? It was this tribe right here that all that came from. It was a war against this tribe. Some of their descendants went into Europe. Some of their descendants went west and started the Mauritanian Empire. Yeah, the empires maintained these symbols and maintained these beliefs and mixed together later on, and all went to war with Rome under Islam, under Muhammad. They all united back together, right? Though most are written in Akkadian, the Akkadian of the letters is heavily colored by the mother tongue of their writers, who probably spoke an early form of Proto-Canaanite. Come on, bro. So they're saying the Phoenician, the Hebrew, and all that goes to Canaanite. And guess what? If you look at we took the city back from the devil. It says Salem, Ariel, Jebus. When you look at, let me go right here. When you look at, come on, don't fail me now, Blue Bible. Where's that? When you look at Jebus, right? Okay, so this is what you find with Jebus. Page 34 of the Blue Bible says, the ethnicity of the Canaanites is Berber. They are the ancient Berbers, described in the Negro Act of 1740. It is written that they are the original people of Jerusalem. King David and Israel were immigrants to Jerusalem. This is revealed in the Bible's first book of Chronicles, chapter 11, verse 4. Because in that book, it talks about Jebus and the Jebusites being the original inhabitants of Jerusalem, and King David, Israelites going to kick them out. Meaning these Jebusites, these Canaanites, they know who they are. We know who they are. What happened was, once that division came, we've been having a split against us and the Jews, whatever became the Christians and the Muslims and all this other stuff, and the Egyptians. Since then, we were never any of those names. Only name we were during all that time, if you say Amarna, was Moor. And I'm not here to just big pump up the Moors, because I have a beef, not a beef, but I have conflict with them not filling in this gap. I was talking about Muhammad the First and all of that. But I feel like the Moors missed this lesson because they just being religious. Muhammad, Jesus. When Noble Ali said Muhammad the First, we just showed who he was talking about. And if we take that bloodline and draw it back further, like we're doing right now, we find many nations and kingdoms that fought the Romans, fought the Europeans, conquered them, and stood on this science. And it even came to over here when they fought against, when you see the Berbers fight against them, they don't call us Berbers, they call it, Native and Indian wars and all that. Yeah. Wearing turbans over here that's fighting against them. They call them ancient Berbers in the Negro Act. in 1887. Check that out, God. Why is that so important, my Lord? That means these prophecies that they made back in the Quran, saying one day this Pharaoh will be revealed, and y'all will know this, and King such and such of the Amarna dynasty. What the fuck is that, Imran? It wouldn't even be understood until now. They hadn't dug these things up yet, God. They hadn't dug up the Amarna letters yet, God. They hadn't even dug up King Tut yet, God. They hadn't even dug up Thutmose and all of them yet, God. For me to even put them. So the Blue Bible ain't me challenging nothing. It's me adding on, saying, hey, look at all this shit we found since then. The prophet didn't reveal who he is. Look how much has came out backing that. Right? So, surely Allah has elected Adam and Noah, respectively, as the house of Ibrahim and those of Imran over the worlds. Why Surah 3:33 says this? Because it's letting you know whether you go back to the time of Noah or even Adam, to the time of Abraham. Peep the science there. Adam's the first prophet. The world gets flooded. Then you got Noah. He resets it, right? Then you got the world gets corrupted. Then Abraham resets it, right? All those stories, all those versions go back to the Amran one. When Akhenaten brought the one God and it's reset it again. See that?
Yeah, it's a repeat. Yeah.
Not the Bible. The Bible only calls him the father of Moses and just kind of tucks it away.
Yeah. Now I see what happens. The repetitive pattern of the same thing.
So the Quran reveals this tribe, but the Arabs who inherited the Quran don't talk about it. They got control of the narrative of Islam now. So it's up to us to study this bloodline, study who we are and where we are. What religion did Jesus practice? Fasted 40 days, 40 nights. Before Christianity, Islam. Can't serve money. Matthew 6:24. He prayed getting down his face. Right? Eli, why have you forsaken me? Right? All these things point to Islam, Muhammad, and monotheism. But if you look at it, like this brother said, Eric Hornung is an Egyptologist and one of the most influential modern writers on ancient Egypt religion. He defined Akhenaten's religion as there is no God by time, and Akhenaten is his prophet, similar to the Shahada, right? Who was Jesus talking to on the cross? Allah, right? On 3 occasions, Jesus' crucifixion is called hanging on the tree. All throughout the New Testament, it's called saying he was hung on the tree. It's talking about us. The lost tribe of Jesus, right? That's what this book is about. Now, let me keep going. Back to I know it's almost an hour, so we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much. We really
no. I'm just absorbing all this information, and it's like sending sparks off in my head, like connecting pieces and like seeing the big picture.
So, page 98 of the Blue Bible. The entity known as Crip is over 50 years old, and the teachings of his members today have nothing to do with the teachings of his founders. Raymond Washington was not a pimp. He was not a mob boss. He was not a drug dealer. He was the Jesus of all of America's Bloods and Crips, slain for our sins and ignorance. Was he not? He was teaching the street niggas to be militant and organized. And for that, his own people crucified him. He got locked up and got out and got murdered right in one of his hoods by his own, whether it was Bloods or Crips. You know what I'm saying? They all had spawned from what he started. Same thing with Jesus. He came and brought this ancient teaching that was being suppressed by the Romans and was crucified for it by his own people. Right?
The same pattern, man.
The Amran tribe. Because what I'm saying is the Amran tribe, the tribe of Akhenaten, the dude, the pharaoh with the big old head that we always see in the picture. Why do they have the big head? Why are we always wearing the chains with the big head? The Tut. Isn't that interesting that we always wearing Tut and Nefertiti as our favorite jewelry of to show black Egyptians, and those are the ones with the hook heads. Those are the ones with the hook heads. Those are the ones that were related to Akhenaten, who built the city, who the whole Egypt went against. It ain't no chance. It ain't no coincidence. I'm just putting it together for y'all. The same war that went on with Adam against the lost people, Noah against the lost people, Abraham against the lost people, had went on with Akhenaten against the lost people back then. According to Surah 333.
Same tactic, different time, man.
Same tactic, different time. So they all come from the same what? Tree. The same tree, the original tree. The original man. All right? And they hang us from this tree. So let's go. Who's the us? The Bible's Jesus entertained criminals. So I'm talking about, remember I was just talking about Raymond Washington. I said he's the Jesus of America's Bloods and Crips, slain for our sins and ignorance. So what about the Jesus in the Bible? The Bible's Jesus entertained criminals. Go to Mark 2:15-17. Parts of the New Testament were written in prison. Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, etc. All of those books were written in prison. Christ himself was born a fugitive and hung on the cross next to thieves. I mean, they coming for all of us. They got us all considered illegal. When Jesus fled to Egypt, the people that hid them were members of a society that became known as Coptics. They referred to themselves as Remt Kemet, people of Kemet. Kemet is an ancient name for Egypt. Before the original people were taught to read from left to right, we naturally read from right to left. In this way, the term Kemet was originally Mecca. So we see now this whole war between the Romans and the Muslims and all of that. That's the same war. They just keep putting these religious names on there to divide up in your head. But it's a war. That's why Elijah said the black man's religion. It was a war against our people pushing one God and our other people who were pushing a bunch of different guys and hanging with a bunch of different races and a bunch of different groups and all. It was the war between this chaos and this organization. Right. And we go to the last place it references Jesus. As far as in the index, it says go check out page 107, which would be the first page of chapter 12, the lost tribe of Jesus. Now, it says, my mother wanted to abort me because South Central LA was not the ideal place to raise a child during the 1980s. That's important. I'm not here to give y'all some, ooh, wow, you know, I was raised up, I'm the chosen one. Just like Jesus was born in the manger. What would that be the equivalent of today? I was born in South Central, and my mom wanted to abort me. This is real. It ain't about feeling bad. It's about being real, right? Fortunately, she kept me and gave me the middle name Christian. According to her, it means Christ-like or to be like Christ. So I didn't just go up against my teachers. My own mother had always told me the religion of Christianity is not the standard for your name. That name means Christ-like. That name means to actually be like Christ. That's what I was taught by my mom that I was giving his name. So she said if they're not trying to actually emulate, and remember, if we're talking from a Christian perspective, that's God. She's telling me emulate God, be like God. So she told me, right? My parents never allowed me to believe in Santa Claus. My father told me Christmas Day was the celebration of Jesus' birthday. I knew young that holidays like Jesus were used to hide the true identity of Jesus and his tribe. I read Matthew 13:55. Matthew 13:55 says Jesus has a brother, sister, niece, right? So it is written that Jesus began his ministry about the age of 30. Luke 3:23. It is written that he taught ye are gods. John 10:30-33. Since the letter J did not exist until 1524, a man named Jesus never did any of this. It's the Gospels, God's spells. If you repeat something over and over, it becomes a spell. Are not a story, they are a prophecy. So we have prophecies written about ourselves. What the devils did, they infiltrated our prophecies. They got us to repeat their version over and over. So now you can say, oh yeah, that's like our Jesus, Tupac. That's like our Jesus, Nip. What is it? A dude who got killed by his own people. Why do we want to wear this narrative? I don't want to have the prophecy of Jesus. Give me the prophecy of Moses. What did Moses do? He called a body. He said, let people go.
Yes, he did.
KKK are Rome, and we are the lost tribe of Jesus. That's why they come and burn the cross and hang you from the tree. Wake up.
And COINTELPRO is part of pro. Yo, bro, all this is
333. Our prophet Isa was a child of the Beni Amran tribe. This tribe produced Moses and my great ancestor, Princess Mary Atten, Scotia, daughter of Pharaoh Akhenaten. This is not coincidence. So I'm saying, going back to the time of Moses, this is what you're looking at. These rulers hanging, crucifying, oppressing, and us standing up back against them. That's our prophecy. The Moses, Musa, man, the Musa, fighters, warriors, winners. So they replaced that with the Jesus story. Niggas that get hung for trying to help their people.
It made you docile, my people. Passive and docile. Turn the other cheek type.
Mm-hmm. So right there, that would be an ancient relic of the ancestors of Jesus, if we understood it the way I'm saying. If we understand Amran to be the lost tribe that was long before, these are Jesus' ancestors. This is who he's following. These are the when he went to Egypt to learn, before he came back to teach, they were teaching about this stuff. The one God and the Son, atonement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when King Herod was smashing on Jesus and his follower, Cleopatra was in power. You see how the symbol she left behind? She's one of the last rulers to be on that native science. This is the science that they were trying to preserve. It wasn't the Bible. It wasn't the Quran. It was this right here.
Mm-hmm.
In the year 36 BC, Cleopatra was at the height of her power. She successfully reserved much of her father's empire and decided to take a trip to her newly acquired territories. Cleopatra traveled in a grand procession with many attendants. With her love of luxury and flair for dramatic, it must have been a sight to behold. She traveled through modern-day Syria, south into present-day Lebanon, then into the land of Israel to visit King Herod. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I just told you my middle name is Christian. I know about the Bible. King Herod's the star of the New Testament. That's the bad guy. He's Darth Vader, and Jesus is Luke Skywalker. You can't know about it. All these niggas always going to argue with you, don't know about King Herod. That's the villain of the New Testament. But in real life, he was the villain of Queen Cleopatra. Coincidence? No. This is the lost tribe of Jesus, the Coptics, the original Egyptians, the people of Amarna. The death of Cleopatra, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire, making the end of the last Hellenistic period after the death of Cleopatra. This is when Jesus ran to Egypt and learned the secrets and came back out to teach us the last bits of it. This whole thing was about preserving our ancient teachings. Then Muhammad came and said, no, the Romans is corrupting it. We got to fix it again. And then Muhammad the first came and said, man, fuck all that. Let's just smash them niggas.
That's it.
Blue Bible.
Yo.
So are there still some Egyptians that still speak ancient Egyptian? Yes, the Coptic language is the final phase of transformation, as is the last direct descendant of the ancient Egyptian language. The language can be written in Egyptian hieroglyphics and Demotic scripts. And guess what? That's in the Blue Bible Index. You don't got to just believe it. You can go to the Blue Bible, go to the C part, C section, look up Coptics. Coptic, page 43, 98, and 109. And I'll get up out of here. I won't go too much. So
yeah, definitely. We gotta have you come back for a part 2, G.
Let's do it. So I already read 43. And we talk about the people of Adam. Remember, we're the people of Allah. We're the people of God. These are people who feel that they descended from created people named Adam. And mind you, this is the beauty about how I teach. I'm not saying Adam's alive. That's the dudes who can't figure it out. No, I figured out who Adam is. You know what I'm saying? But he's not our ancestor. You think what I'm saying? So the people of Adam use the term Sharif to pose as descendants of the prophet and enforce their laws on us. In the English tongue, the term became Sharif. They inherit this title via integration. They also use the story of Jesus to pose as his followers. The true followers of Jesus were known as Coptics. They were Egyptians. And by way of King Ezana, the Ethiopians joined them circa 330 AD. The Roman Emperor Constantine and the Roman Empire were not followers of Jesus. They hated Jesus, his followers, and all of their teachings. Emperor Julian banned them. Eventually, Constantine created Christianity to replace them. Okay? And then go to Coptics, page 98. Says, but you see what I'm saying? Like, you can just go to these pages. You ain't got to read. You can just study certain topics, right? When Jesus' family fled to Egypt, the people that hid them were members of a society that became known as Coptics. They refer to themselves as Rimmed Kemet. Kemet is an ancient name for Egypt. Before the original people were taught to read from left to right, we naturally read from right to left. In this way, the term Kemet was originally Met-Cup, right? And then you go to Coptics, page 109. It says, Saint Nicholas was a Coptic bishop known for giving gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They changed him to a fat white man named Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
So on page 109, it says, holidays are the biggest distractions in the devil's religion. For example, the character named Santa Claus is based on a great Moor named Saint Nicholas. He was not of the people of Adam. He was an Anatolian. They are the ancient Turks who forced the people of Adam into the Caucasus Mountains. See how we always say, we put them in the mountains. No, which group of us? That's why else the Blue Bible is important. We give them direct bloodline. The Anatolians. The original Anatolians, the original people of that land called Anatolia, are the ones who actually held them in the Caucasus Mountains. Saint Nicholas was a Coptic bishop known for giving gifts. Still, Emperor Diocletian incarcerated and tortured him. Emperor Constantine freed him in order to learn his teachings. After 300 years of murdering Coptics, the Roman emperors joined them in 312 AD at the Council of Nicaea. The inverted cross is a symbol used by Romans as a sign of disrespect to the followers of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the cross of St. Peter. Since the letter J did not exist until 1524, we can rest assured that the Roman god Jupiter is Yah, like Jah, Jew, God,
Mm-hmm.
Peter, who is
Mm-hmm.
named, as was written in the books of Matthew 16:23 and Mark 8:33. He calls St. Peter the devil. He says, Satan, get behind me. Well, St. Peter is using the word saint, but if you call him God Peter, like Jah Peter,
Mm-hmm.
Jah Peter, Jupiter.
Jupiter. Yep.
Yeah, that statue of St. Peter is really a statue of Jupiter. They make him go in there and kiss his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And that cross of his is the cross of the followers of Jesus, St. Peter. That's an upside down cross, disrespecting him. The devil worship.
Yo, God, you got to come back for part 2. It's a beautiful presentation. A lot of information was given. People, listeners and viewers, go out there and purchase that blue Bible from Crip Jesus. You will find him online.
Visit. I'll leave you the link. Y'all can, if y'all can put it in there, but it's theblackiluminati.com. And hit me direct, because I hate the fact that the more, like, as the years pass and I'm selling a lot of these books, I'm like, bro, I remember the beginning when people was calling in direct. We build, I hook this person up from this state to that state. The Black Illuminati is real. We gotta keep it going. So we got to network. If Mikey's in LA and I'm not here, he can call me. I can call the homie. Yeah, right there. Like it's a network of us, bro. Because we gotta understand, we don't only just believe this, we live in this now. Whether it be the Egyptian homie or the the Moorish homie or the Sunni Muslim homie, they all agree on this. We all know.
So it's the blackilluminati.com, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so people, don't forget, it's the blackilluminati.com. Go there, purchase the book. It's full of information. I'm gonna get my copy myself, definitely, because this was a beautiful presentation. A lot of information was given. It helped connect the dots, put things in proper perspective, removing that fluff. And I appreciate you, Crip Jesus, for coming on here tonight, brother.
I appreciate you for having me, bro, and really letting me flow and get this out.
Definitely.
Did you see how complex the message is? So it takes a little, but once we strip away them things, you start to see, oh, okay.
Yeah, remove the veil.
Just changing the names,
Definitely. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, people. We got super chats. We got a lot of work coming down the pipeline for you guys. It's important to help us reach this, reach a much larger plateau. Without y'all, none of this would have been possible. So we appreciate it to our core audience. With that being said, we out. Peace. Anything you want to add, brother? I can hear you.
My bad. Like I said, hit me direct, y'all. Don't be scared. 213-667-1094. 213-667-1094. I'll leave it down in the comments. Hit me direct. You know what I'm saying? And I do get out in the streets directly. So I'm getting these books out in people's hands. And I think just like the regular Bible, this book is good, to read it, but it's good to have someone else to kind of study and bounce and argue with it, you know, because these are deep topics and they open up a lot of information for you. You think that's some shit? Think about the rabbit holes you go down fucking with it. You feel what I'm saying?
Definitely, bro. Appreciate that, God.
Peace to God.
NYP, and we out.